Hi, I'm John, and welcome back to Dice Paper Miniatures. In this episode, I kick off a new series I'm working on that's featuring each of the 18 legions that players can play in the upcoming Warhammer the Horus Heresy. Now, the framework I'm using for this series is basically looking at what the Warhammer community is presenting in each of these 18 articles. The lore, the general look and feel of the legion, and of course, its rule mechanics that they're willing to tease at this point. And then maybe down the road, I might have a follow-up as to how accurate I think that these articles presented each of the individual legions. But that would be a series for another time. All right, so again, that's the premises or framework for this series. I'm really excited to get started. And in this episode, arguably, if it wasn't for this legion, the Horus Heresy may not have happened at all. And that's the Word Bearers. This particular legion has some really awesome models from Forge World. So I'm definitely interested to talk more about this one. Let's begin. Well, here we are with the Word Bearers. Getting kind of close to the end, actually, on all these different Legion reviews. So hopefully you stuck with me through all of them so far, and we'll catch the next remaining ones here yet to come. But the Word Bearers are definitely a unique one. They're kind of a central player in the entire Horus Heresy, if you weren't aware of that. And personally, I think they're one of the legions with the coolest models, with the caveat their Primarch Logar is just kind of okay. But all the other like elite and character models from Forge World for this particular legion are pretty badass. So that in and of itself, before I even forget, if you pop over to Forge World and do a search for the Word Bearers, seriously cool models for sure. But yeah, I know, you're here for the rule teasers and a little bit of lore. So let's go ahead and jump in. Do you have a moment to talk about our lords and saviors, the Chaos Gods? You see, an unquenchable faith in the dark powers trumps any mortal authority, even that of the glory-seeking War Master. If you want to understand the path to true greatness, why not invite the Word Bearers in for a cup of tea and a friendly chat? Yeah, I don't think so. The new edition of Warhammer the Horus Heresy goes on pre-order this weekend, which is true. It's this coming Saturday, and it is a 2-week window. So you have time, even if you go ahead and get it this weekend, and you haven't figured out what legion you really want to play yet, you have time. You have time. Now, if you like reading unholy tomes, chanting diabolical prayers, and purging blasphemous scum, 17th Legion are just the convocation for you. Trust us, it's the gospel truth. Oh, so many puns and little play of words in all of these Legion articles. I actually find them pretty entertaining, which is partially why I'm presenting them the way I am. Yeah, I know I'm mostly reading through them, but you're also getting my reaction because these are pretty raw takes. It's not like I've studied these articles. Now, I admit, the illustration for Lorgar is pretty awesome. It just didn't quite translate into the model, and we'll see that here, I think, here soon. Yeah, there he is. It's not bad. It's missing a little something something. But in all fairness, it does represent kind of his diminutive stature that he has as a Primarch, which is kind of why he went the nerdy book route. Stereotypes are stereotypes. All right, so recruited from the sons of the Emperor's exterminated foes, the first recruits of the 17th Legion were taught at great length how merciful the Master of Mankind was for only killing their entire families. Wow, now that's actually, I didn't know that. That's funny. That's the best part, I think, about Warhammer 40K or the Horus Heresy, just the whole Warhammer setting in general. There really are no good guys. It's all awful. There's a reason why it's called the Grim Dark for a reason. It is pretty grim, and that's putting it mildly. These warriors fought with a zealous adoration, desperate to earn the Emperor's forgiveness for whatever their forebears had done to vex him. Named the Imperial Herald, they were sent forth as the Emperor's personal messengers, delivering his ultimatums across the galaxy. So these were like, all I can think of now are the two dudes that are usually like in white shirts and ties and usually like black slacks, the two guys that represent the Mormons that just like usually you see them walking or bicycling through your neighborhood, spreading the the Book of Mormon. So that's, now I can't get that image out of my head. Oh man. All right. So the Great Crusade wasn't just about winning wars. It was about winning hearts and minds. And in typical imperial style, the heralds did so by blowing up monuments, burning priests, and scouring libraries of any books that disagreed. Holy shit, man. The imperial truth dictated that there were no gods, that humanity lived in a rational cosmos without room for superstition. Something about oxymorons. Okay, except for the tech priests of the cult Mechanicum, of course, and the rune priests of the 6th Legion. They got a pass. And Jagatai shamans, obviously. And okay, one legion might have been led by an actual angel, but that's not, yeah. Okay, so eventually the Imperial Heralds were taken under the wing of their Primarch Lorgar, a man who truly appreciated his flock. Soon enough, he convinced his legion that while they were meant to end the worship of false gods, that meant real gods, like his dad, were fine. The renamed word bearers spread the light of faith throughout the galaxy, building great shrines and wondrous monuments where their brother legions left nothing but ruin. I mean, they sound great. What's the harm in this? Unfortunately, after a century of shrugging off Lorgar's worship, the Emperor suddenly decided enough was enough. All those pamphlets were slowing down his great crusade, and the only reasonable compromise was to publicly humiliate the entire legion. I mean, really, it's all about, go big or go home. And the Emperor was not about to go home, at least not yet. He was on a mission. He sent the prim and proper Ultramarines to give Lorgar a helpful lesson in how to efficiently raise a city. It's all about logistics. Using his perfect city of Monarchia as an example. Monarchia, that sounds way too close to malarkey, which is like bullshit. Anyways, fair enough. After the Emperor cemented himself as the worst god in a galaxy with, as far as the Primarch was concerned, only one god, Lorgar was understandably depressed. Fortunately, his best friend Erebus suggested a fun road trip that would take his mind off things, all the way to a little world called Cadia. There the truth of the Chaos Gods was revealed to the word bearers, and they traded up in favor of deities who weren't better so much as more consistent. You gotta do what you gotta do. So the word bearer army here is presented by Oliver and Sierra from the Broadsword Wargaming YouTube channel. Also another good channel. But yeah, these look great. I do dig their color scheme too. Kind of like reds on Space Marines, and to me it's like if Blood Angels are like the good Superman, it's just kind of an obscure old reference. This is even better because when Superman went evil, what was it, like Superman 3 had the darker blue, darker red outfit. He just looked more badass. So this is more of a badass Blood Angels color scheme, in my opinion. All right, so let's check out these rules. So their ironclad faith gives the 17th Legion unshakable bravery in battle. Faced with the most terrifying foes, these true believers trust that a higher power will deliver them from doom. This infectious belief is hard to resist even for their opponents, who find themselves shouted down by legionaries bellowing bellicose battle sermons. Bellowing bellicose battle sermons. I feel like that line was taken from The Office. That's diplomacy for you. True believers. A model with this special rule may never have its leadership characteristic modified below a value of 6. Furthermore, if one or more models with this special rule are part of a combat that results in a draw, then a side that includes one or more models at the end of the fight subphase with this special rule is counted as having won the combat by 1 point. If both sides include models with this special rule, then the combat remains a draw. It has flavor. It seems to fit with the Legion as a whole. This is definitely a difficult one to know how to weight in terms of, does it bring that much value or is it just more flavor than anything to the game itself? So unfortunately, for this to be the sell to convince new players to jump on, I guess, as an advocate for the word bearers and to play them and to start picking up their models to build your army, I don't know if this is necessarily their best foot forward to sell this Legion. I didn't probably speak to that point enough in some of my other videos for the different legions, but really early on, and maybe in the intro, I speak to this to some extent. I think the whole point of these teasers are to get you excited for these specific legions, and I can understand why they want to hold some of the magic back, right? They don't want to like give you the coolest thing right up front. They want to hold a little bit in reserve to make to whet the appetite. So the question is, do these teasers they're giving us, do they whet the appetite enough for each of these legions? And I don't know about this one. My initial reaction is no, not enough for sure. Let's see what else they have to offer. So faith is its own reward, of course, but the ruinous powers are generous masters. The word bearers piled up heaps of confiscated occult lore over the Great Crusade, and not all of it was turned into kindling. While prosaic legions waste time with technological trinkets, Lorgar's most dedicated preachers studied the burning lore of the Empyrean, learning to command soul-scouring hellfire. Well, mostly command it. So the Hellfire Psychic Weapon, it's a template, strength 7, which I think is pretty strong, and AP of 4 is definitely decent. Its type is Assault 1. Rending 6 plus for a template weapon seems legit. Deflagrate, which I'm not sure what Deflagrate is, and Psychic Focus. So Psychic Focus, before making any to-hit rolls with this weapon, the Psyker must make a Psychic check. If the check is passed, then the Psyker may attack as normal using the profile shown for this weapon. If the check is failed, then the Psyker suffers perils of the warp, and if the model is not removed as a casualty, then it may attack as normal, but may not use this weapon. That's another one I think that's a little more difficult to evaluate just on the surface alone without actually play testing it a little bit. It sounds cool. It sounds cool. All right, then we have the Primarch again. Again, Lorgar Arulian. I didn't know his last name was Arulian. Okay, Lorgar Arulian. And his home world is Colchis? Colchis? That's a weird one. I wasn't familiar with their home world either for some reason. Colchis or Colchis. I listen to these on Audible, so you think I would know these words by now, but I am terrible with words. I know some folks criticize me maybe reading the articles a little bit too much in my videos, but honestly, some of this is just for me, so it like sticks in my brain easier when I actually go to play the games and for hopefully future battle reports. So, for what that's worth. As the nascent Primarchs were scattered across the galaxy, Lorgar came to land on the desert planet Colchis, where he was found by a nomadic tribe who took the boy in, for all of about 3 weeks, until they were slaughtered by a disgraced priest named Cor Ferron. Holy crap, okay. The holy man had seen potential in Lorgar that all others had missed, and it would have been a shame to let it go to waste. All right, so there's a link actually to Cor Ferron, and I'm just not familiar with this model, which is weird because I've gone through like all of Forge World. I recognize these models. I just, again, didn't make the connection on the name, and it's out of stock. As much as I hype Forge World models, I feel like this is not one of their best pieces. It is what it is. To each their own. All right, the young Primarch was enraptured by the religion of Colchis, dedicating himself to the study of its 4 great powers. Soon, however, he began to prophesize the arrival of the One. Wow, did we just jump the shark into a whole other science fiction franchise here? The One. All right. A deity that ruled over all others, who would have taken humanity to the stars. The Urizen's sermons proved popular enough to cause a schism in the Colchisian Covenant, and after a brutal war, only his godsworn were left standing. That's kind of a weird image. It's like none of his other power armor's on, but he's got a massive shoulder pad. Not the most practical thing, but I know it's a funny thing for me to say about a piece of Warhammer 40k imagery, but it just seems unnecessary. They could have just had the arm removed and have some, more like gold inlaid tattoo work like he has on his dome. Just saying. True to Lorgar's vision, the Emperor arrived 1 year after his son's victory, accompanied by Magnus the Red, one of the few other Primarchs to really appreciate a good book, and the 17th Legion were reunited with their Gene father. Things went swimmingly, right up until the whole burn your prize city to the ground situation. Who knew you could be too devoted? Doran gets away with being unnervingly loyal. Yeah. I mean, he's got a good point. But it's all about phrasing. So in the Warhammer setting, you can't call it faith. Loyalty, respect, admiration, totally fine. But if you use the word faith, you are fucked. It's just how it is. And for all these book guys pompously showing off how smart they are, for missing out on that obvious phrasing, I'm sorry. There's a reason why they have book smarts and common sense. And it seems like the folks with the most book smarts have like zero common sense. Anyways, as the first of the Primarchs to embrace the power of chaos, Lorgar set in motion many of the events of the Horus Heresy through his forbidden knowledge, patient scheming, and arcane skills of talking to people. Fully half of his brothers were granted the freedom to choose their own destinies. All in all, stand-up guy. I mean, yeah, sit around, you can have a couple of brews. Seems reasonable. And by brews is probably a witch's brew, but semantics, whatever. The word bearers laid their groundwork for years, spreading secret clubs called warrior lodges through the other legions and the war master's own inner circle. In some cases, they traded tips with those who were already eager to accept the loving embrace of chaos. In others, they exploited existing tensions, whispering promises of power to those who resented their oh-so-perfect Primarch. Unfortunately for the 17th Legion, some of their fellow legions weren't so appreciative of the gifts on offer. Chief among these were the Ultramarines, who didn't once think to say sorry for smashing their wonderful city. On the planet Calth, a joint muster of the 17th and 13th Legions was the perfect opportunity to earn some payback. Lorgar's decisive actions ensured the Ultramarines would never assemble the strength to challenge Horus in time. Those dirty bastards. You know what they say, sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. But, really? I don't know. Just ask the Ultramarines. Maybe they weren't necessarily hurt, but the delay did cause the entire galaxy to get screwed and the Emperor to wind up on a golden throne. Yeah, so, words have consequences. The war on Calth also introduced the hapless mortals of real space to some friendly new neighbors, demons. These new traitor allies came in all shapes and sizes and can even be stuffed inside a convenient Astarte-shaped package, giving the loyalist Space Marines a whole new kind of enemy to fight. We're sure they enjoyed the novelty. Yeah, it got weird. Accompanied by the angriest of all his brothers, Lorgar launched a shadow crusade of slaughter, dismay, and other festivities that spawned the Runestorm. Good times, good times. This colossal warp tempest paralyzed the Loyalists' ability to navigate the galaxy, delaying the return of 4 whole legions to Terra. It was just about the single best thing any of the traitor Primarchs did for Horus. Perhaps if the others had pulled their weight, instead of throwing a wild and preemptive victory parties, they might have even won. I mean, yeah, it was possible. So here we have a few cherry-picked novels to get, a solid foundation of lore. Although I actually think these teaser articles do kind of enough in a way. Okay, so the Word Bearers rise to greatness in The First Heretic, a novel that pulls back the curtain on the Legion's ascension from Imperial lapdogs to champions of religious freedom. Such a funny way to put it. Following their castigation at Monarchia, Lorgar and his sons vent their fury on dissonant worlds, only to find the primordial truth was inside them all along. Heartwarming. Yeah, I feel like hellfire warming your heart, I suppose. Then join Cor Ferron and the Legion's elite as they punish the Ultramarines for their misplaced loyalties and no fear amidst the burning wreckage of Calth. This one conflict spawns a grudge that echoes throughout millennia and remains one of the bloodiest battles of the entire heresy. Oh yeah. But anyways, yeah, and they have a color painting tutorial as well. A very cool Legion, a lot of flavor, narrative, whatever you want to call it. The iconography for this Legion is probably some of the best. The color scheme for it is definitely one of the best. And the range of models, honestly, on Forge World are kind of second to none. Let's just see real quick. Yeah, if we look at the total number of keyword-specific Horus Heresy miniatures, between the Loyalists and the Traitors, Blood Angels have 14, Imperial Fist has 17, but everything else is 13 and under, arguably like 10 and under, maybe 11 and under. And with the Word Bearers, they're at that 13. So overall, they kind of, I guess, come in third, but third is tied with a number of legions, to be fair. White Scars have 13, Sons of Horus have 13, and Thousand Sons have 13. But I guess, they're in the upper, I guess, like 30 percentile. So there you go. As for rules, yeah, this one admittedly is kind of a tough one, I think, to evaluate. The Hellfire Psychic Weapon is cool, but I really don't know how rending 6+ on a template weapon seems legit. And then as far as having to make consistent leadership characteristic checks, that it can't be below 6, that's probably pretty good. Under the pretense that you need to make that check a lot, I guess the assumption being if that unit gets decimated and you have to make like a break check, maybe that helps with preventing the rest of your unit to just flee, which honestly is cool. But it's hard to quantify that. Yeah. But with that said, what are your thoughts? Please add those to the comments below. I'd really like to get your feedback on what you think or how you think these powers fit in with of the overall Legion itself. And do you feel like this is a new player friendly Legion or one that probably takes a little bit more of a skilled player? Just based on what we're seeing right now, I think it's new player friendly, but it seems like it's not necessarily giving the player a lot. So I guess the floor might be a little on the low side. Without knowing the other abilities, it's hard to know how high the ceiling will be and how much it may reward players that have really practiced and improved their skills with playing this particular Legion. At least those are my initial thoughts. But in any event, I think I've dialed in what my primary first pick for a Legion will be, but I'm still considering a secondary Legion, whether or not it's for me to play personally or just to have available for a friend who wants to come over and learn how to play for them to play. So with that said, if you've enjoyed this content and you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time, as well as clicking that notification bell and sharing this content with your friends. It's greatly appreciated, and it really does help with the growth of the channel. All right, well, that's it for this one. As always, thank you for checking out this episode. I hope you're doing well. Be safe, take care, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.